Hi, everyone. So excited to be on Worthy Women Wednesday today with another Aleesha. What an amazing name you have, for one, and also just so excited to hear your story more. But if you guys haven't met Aleesha before, she is a bestseller book author of two amazing books, one about yourself and your story, but also an amazing book to support children into really realizing like what is abuse and having these hard conversations with children, because yes, it starts at that level. And Aleesha has also taken the next step in sharing her story with her daughter at different schools to bring more awareness to this topic. But the biggest thing that I want you guys to know about Aleesha is that, for one, yes, she has shared her story and has had that relief of actually being able to, yeah, get that off your chest. But she also supports other people in doing that. So Aleesha has about 63,000 people on your Facebook group, that there's stories going out all the time of people telling somebody about their stories of abuse and getting it out. And so thank you so much for what you do in this world. And I'm excited for my audience to be able to learn and hear from you as well.
Thank you. And then you have the books too. You have the children's book and the memoir. Okay.
Oh yeah, I have all of them.
Can you show them real quick?
Yeah, so I have the book right. I have the children's book right here. I actually I gave out your book for my friend to read, and so I don't have it today. Okay. But yes, love. I was gonna say, do you have a copy so everyone can?
Yeah, I'll get it. It's off to the side because I remember you had it. I seen in the video, but that's great. I love being able to pass the books over to people. Yeah.
Yes, I was like, she needs to hear this story as well. So let's just go ahead and start with a little bit about your story. Whatever you feel comfortable sharing. I would love to hear just about your personal story, and then we'll go from there.
Okay, I'm just sharing this right now to my Facebook page so my 63,000 followers can come on.
Absolutely, yes. Everyone gets to hear this amazing interview from you. So it's fun trying to get it to be on your Facebook page and switch over.
Okay, there we go. And then I'll text my assistant to come bring me my book real quick.
There we go. Wow, I need one of those. That's awesome.
Let me bring my book.
I'm slacking over here. My assistant's virtual. I need someone right here. Allie, where are you? That's awesome.
Okay, there we go. They should be walking in any second now. So yeah, thank you for just having this platform, just for bringing awareness. Child molestation is a very taboo topic that not a lot of people talk about. So for everyone that's trying to bring awareness and talk about it, I just thank you. I commend you, because you have to have a strength and a bravery to do that. All survivors have that strength and bravery. They just don't know it. I didn't know it growing up. So right now, I just would like to talk to all the parents watching. Who has access to your children? That is the question that I like to ask parents. Who has access to your children? Because as parents, we have responsibilities. We go to work, we go to school, we might go out to the club with our friends on the weekend, we might go out to dinner on a date. So who has access to your kids when you need a babysitter?
Yeah.
95% of child molesters are a family member or a close friend.
Yeah.
That's 95%. And the reason why is because they have access to your children and your children trust them. Yeah. The reason why your children trust them is because you trust them. Yeah. So I need parents to have an open mind, because a lot of people say, not my dad, not my brother, not my uncle, not my mom. They're not abusers. But 95% of child molesters are family and close friends. So it is those people.
Yeah, and we're included in that. Me and you both are included in that, right?
We're included in that, because they also say that, most child molesters were molested as children. Yeah. So they're repeating the cycle. Yeah. So we are included in that. But instead, we're taking our power back by sharing our story, bringing awareness, and helping other survivors speak up. So there's different ways, that you can go through that. Yeah. So Growing up, my grandfather was my babysitter, my mother's father. So when my mother and dad would go to work or go out, they would drop me off at her parents' house.
Yeah.
When I was younger, my grandfather started to groom me. That's what I love about my children's book, because a lot of parents don't know the grooming signs and children don't know the grooming signs either. My book explained that. My grandfather used to tickle me like the tickle game and eventually moved to my private areas. That's another question that I ask parents. How many parents have taught your children? How many of you have taught your children about their body, about boundaries, about their private areas, how no one's supposed to touch them there, and they need to come tell you if it happens? You would be surprised how many parents have not talked to their kids, how many parents say they don't know how to talk to their kids. My parents never talked to me, not my mom, not my dad.
Yeah.
So when my grandfather used to tickle me and touch me, I didn't know anything was wrong. So child molesters see how far they can go with you before they go further. So then when my grandmother would go out to run errands, go to the grocery store, my grandfather would take me into a room and close the door, and he would touch my private areas. He would tell me that people who loved each other did these kind of things. And I believed him because he was my grandfather. And I loved him. And I saw how my mother and my family loved him. So what he was saying was right. So I let him touch my body.
Yeah.
It felt really uncomfortable. You know, even as a child, even if someone tells you something's okay, you still have that gut feeling that this is not okay. I don't feel good while this is going on. So when I was 6, I was in the car with my aunt and I asked her, is it okay for people to touch your private areas? And she turned around and she said, no. You know, why do you say that? And I said, because your dad, my grandfather, touches me in my private areas when I go to his house. And she said, no, that's not okay. I will confront him. I will make it stop. You'll be okay. And I felt so secure with her saying that. But ironically, we were actually in the car on our way to my grandfather's lake house. He had a spare house that we would go for family vacations. So when we pulled up to this lake house, my aunt grabbed my mother and her other sister and their dad, and they all went outside. And I was scared. I was 6 years old. Here, I just told this secret that my grandfather told me, even though this is okay, don't tell anybody because they won't understand it. So I didn't tell. So now I'm shivering, I'm trembling. Oh my gosh, the secret's out. I'm waiting for them to come back upstairs, and they come back upstairs. And when they walk in, they're smiling, they're talking, they're going on with the regular day. Nobody's mad, nobody's angry, nobody addresses the situation. So we go the next 5 days just coinciding, everyone just having a great time, you know, me and about 5, 6, 7 of my other family members. So I didn't know how to process that. Even seeing my grandfather afterwards, I thought he'd be mad at me. I thought he would, you know, mug me, scold me, punish me for telling this secret. Our secret's out. He didn't do any of that. He just smiled at me and just kept going with the regular day, still hugging me, still giving me kisses like nothing was wrong. When I got home, my mother pulled me to the side away from my father, and she closed the door and she said, listen, your aunt told me what happened. We confronted my dad and he admitted it. He said that he has been touching you. He said that the devil made him do it, and that the only reason why he abused you is because his wife, our mom, my grandma, hasn't had sexual intercourse with him in 8 years. But he promised that he will stop. He said that if we tell the police and he has to go to jail, he knows what happens to child molesters in jail. So he'll kill himself before he even goes to jail. And if we tell my dad as the angry Black man will get mad and kill my old, frail, white grandfather. And then my dad will go to jail. So at 6 years old, they put all that guilt on me, you know? There's survivors now that are 30, 40, 50 years old, that still don't want to tell their story because they don't want to feel like they broke up the family. So how do you think a 6-year-old is going to process that? You know? So I did what they said. They told me to keep it a secret. I kept it a secret. My aunt at the time, who heavily still believes in God, gave my grandfather a Bible since he said the devil made him do it. And she told him that he had to read the Bible every day, and that if he did touch me again, they would call the police. This is what I was told.
Yeah.
All I know is that I was still brought around him after this, and the abuse continued. Did he pick up that Bible? I don't know. Did anyone ever confront him or question him later? I don't know. But I know that my mother never re-questioned me when I came back from his house. Is the abuse still going on? Is he still touching you? Which is something that, because I have an 11-year-old daughter, I couldn't even imagine. Those would be the first questions that I would be asking my child. Yeah. But now that I'm older, I realize why she didn't ask. It's because she wanted me to keep it a secret. So if it was still continuing, then everybody would have to address the issue. People weren't ready to address the issue. So I grew up feeling ugly, insecure. I was bullied. I felt like I didn't belong. I acted out. When I was 5 years old, I was expelled from 3 different kindergartens for being bad. Yeah. One time I pushed a bookshelf over on another kid. I was acting out. Children act out. Children have signs. They wet the bed. They're scared of the dark. They have bad hygiene. There's a few little things that you could look for, but it's better to directly talk with your children and ask them if anything is going on. And because nothing was done the first time I told, when the abuse continued, I didn't tell again because I felt like nothing would be done again. And I felt like if I told, well, this time, now he's going to jail, or now my dad's killing him, and now my dad's going to jail, and now everybody's going to be mad at me because I told. So let me keep this a secret. And unfortunately, that's how a lot of kids grow up and go through. And so again, I felt ugly, insecure. I got bullied. I didn't feel like I belonged. And like many other survivors, when you grow up, you feel like sex and your body is all that you have to offer somebody because that's what was taken from you as a child. So I gave myself to many men who did not deserve me, who did not appreciate me, who did not love me, who did not know my worth because I didn't know my worth. That's why. And I was searching for years and years and years, trying to find this freedom, trying to get this disgustingness, this shame, this guilt, all these emotions that I was feeling. I was trying to get this out. And it took me to when I got to 28 years old. So here I am holding this secret in for 20 years, 22 years, just going through life. Just holding the secret in, and it affects every part of your life. Every decision that you make through adulthood goes back to your childhood and that sexual abuse. And one day I told my cousin that I wanted to bring awareness to abuse, but I didn't know how to do that without telling my father first, because I have family members on Facebook. So if I come on Facebook and share my story, they're going to ask my dad about it and he doesn't even know. So I asked my cousin, how do I tell my dad? How do I tell my dad that I was molested by my grandfather my whole childhood? My mother knew about it, and here it is. And I asked her every day for 7 days. On the 7th day, I went to my father's house. And I have a younger brother who's 4 years younger than me. And my father said, Aleesha, your younger brother called me today and told me that he was molested by your grandfather as a child. Did your grandfather also molest you? And the moment he asked me that, I had tears just streaming down from my face. And I was like, here it is. You've been asking for a week. How do you tell your dad? You've been wanting to tell your dad your whole life. Here you go. So I told him Of course, I was molested. I told him the whole story, all the times that I tried to tell, I tried to get help. And I was so angry because even though it happened to me, when you go through something, you know, we're survivors. We try to get through it. You know, I was strong. I said, okay, it happened to me. I'll try to deal with it. But the fact that it happened to my younger brother, that really hurt me. That really made me mad because he was younger than me. So when I was 6 and I told, if they would have at least kept us away from my grandfather, even if they didn't want to send him to jail, if they just stopped communication, or even if we still went around him, but we were never left alone with him.
Yeah.
Never happened to my younger brother. But yet I have a list of all the times and memories. And my little brother has a list of all the times and memories that my grandfather abused us. So why is it that he was able to do something like this? Well, after I told my father, he was sad the first day. He cried. We bonded, and we actually became the strongest that we've been since I've been alive, our whole relationship. So I really appreciated that. And then he got mad and he said, you know, you need to go on Facebook and you need to expose your family. You need to tell everybody what happened to you. You need to show a picture of your mom, your 2 aunts, your grandfather, and say their names, say where they live. You need to out them. And I said, I'm sorry, I can't do that. I said, that's my family. And he said, that's not your family. He said, family wouldn't turn a deaf ear and a blind eye to you when you need help. And so here it is. I was just telling someone, my whole life, I'm feeling like my sick, old grandfather is the victim. You know, my mother and her family, they're the victims. I have to protect them. I have to keep this secret. When now my father's telling me, no, you're the victim. And it's like, wow, you're right. I'm the victim. So I made a video. I went on Facebook. I made a video, a 10-minute video. I had a picture of my mom and her sisters. I said their names. I said what happened to me. I posted the video and I got scared because I'm friends with my mother and her sisters on my social media. And I didn't tell them what I was going to do.
Yeah.
The book is on top of the white tubs that are by the...
Get in the book.
Oh, you know what? I'm so mad. My book is right here.
Of course. Of course.
$8. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah.
That happens to me all the time.
Oh my God. So sorry. So sorry. But where was I?
Just about, so you put the Facebook.
I put the video on there. I put the video on there and I logged off. And what gave me the strength to put the video on there, even though I was scared of the reaction, was my father asked me to call my mother and her aunts since they're still alive. My grandfather passed away when I was in my early 20s from a rare lung disease that they don't even have a cure for. To me, that was God and his karma, you know,
Yeah.
I believe. Yeah. But my dad told me I needed to call my family and confront them. Because a lot of survivors, they get abused as children, they tell as children, they're told to keep it a secret, and they never talk about it again. Their family just goes on, you know, to family events, and years go by, and people don't even address it.
Yeah.
Well, now I'm grown. Now I'm an adult. Now I can stand up for myself. Now I can give you a piece of my mind and really tell you how I feel and how what you did was wrong and how you made the wrong mistake protecting your father instead of me. So I called my mother and my 2 aunts separately, and I told them all how mad I was because not only was I abused, but my younger brother was abused, and it was all their fault to me. And my mother said, well, it's been so long. What do you want me to do about it now? Like, what can I do about it? You know? And my other aunt, the one that I told initially when I was younger, she hurt my feelings the most because what she said to me was, you need to get over it. Because I was abused as a child. It happened to me. So what? And she hung up the phone. After that, my family members blocked me from social media. They changed their phone numbers. That's what really gave me the strength to post the video, because here all my life, I've been going through pain and hell, keeping this secret for you guys.
Yeah.
And this is how you guys treat me.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's a little emotional, you know, but that's why I posted my story. And the next morning when I woke up and I opened up my Facebook, I had over, 100,000 shares, 500,000 views, 40,000 comments, 20,000 inboxes, all from people saying the same thing happened to me. And so here I am growing up thinking I'm the only one that it happened to. Yeah. Besides my parents not teaching me about my body, they also didn't teach me about God. So when I was younger, I used to go in my room and actually cuss God out. I used to say, F you, God. Why is my life like this? Why, when I go to school and I'm around my friends, is everyone so happy? They're smiling, their family picks them up. Everyone has this nice life and mine's messed up. Not knowing that everybody, a lot of people have messed up things going on in their family. And so when I saw all these people writing me, I said, wow, you know what I'm saying? It gave me an extra strength to know that I was not alone. And one of my friends actually reached out to me, and I went to school with her. She said her uncle molested her as a child. She wanted to tell her dad, but he only had 6 months left to live of cancer. And she wanted to tell her mom, but her mom had brain aneurysms. So if she got stressed out, she would die. So I told her not to tell because I didn't want something to happen to her family. And now, I feel like I'm the cause because I told her to tell. And I told her not to tell. And my dad came home from work and he asked me how was the feedback from the video. And when I showed him, even he was like, wow, Yes. And I told him the story of the girl and how the advice I told her not to tell. And he said, you gave her the wrong advice. He said, you have a daughter who at the time was 5. He said, if she was being abused, wouldn't you want to know? And I said, yeah, I would need to know so I could stop it. And he said, exactly. He said, even on my deathbed, I would want to know what happened to my children. And I said, wow. He said, so your message to any and everybody is they need to tell somebody. They need to tell their parents if their parents do not know. I know. And when he was talking, like, he just awoke so much stuff into me. I never had anyone talk to me like that before because I never talked about it before. I never shared my story. So after that, I made a t-shirt that said, tell somebody. I made one for my dad, me, and my daughter. And I just did it just for us, just like as a symbol of like a freedom, a newfound freedom. And I posted the picture of us on my social media and I went to sleep. And I woke up the next morning with the same thing, like 100,000 shares, 25,000 comments, all people saying, we want this shirt. We want this shirt. And it's like, you want this shirt? This shirt's not for you. This shirt is for me. I thought it only had a meaning for me and my family. So tell somebody means something to you guys. So I was like, wow, it's so amazing. And so I started a website, tellsomebodytoday.com, and I started selling shirts. And I knew, that's cool, but that's not why I started. I really wanted to bring awareness to children. And so I started a Tell Somebody document series, which you could find on my YouTube, which is Aleesha Barlow. And I actually would go to different cities and just get out on the streets and talk to strangers and see who else has been abused. Yeah. And the t-shirt tells somebody, if you wear it, if you get a shirt and wear it, I guarantee you people will stop you. It doesn't matter where I go. Every time I go outside and tell somebody's shirt, whether it's the gas station, the grocery store, wherever, people always stop me, strangers, and they say, tell somebody what? And I say, hey, it's my nonprofit to stop child abuse. I was molested as a child. How was your childhood? And my favorite episode is episode 3. I went to Hollywood. There was a 54-year-old woman waiting for her bus. She told me when she was younger, she was molested by her babysitter's son. When she used to go over her babysitter's house, she used to play the piano when she was 4 or 5, and the babysitter's son would come touch on her body. She said she didn't realize until she was an adult that was abuse. Then her bus came. As she was running towards her bus, I yelled out, have you ever told anybody? And she turned around and she looked at me and she said, you're the first person I told. And then she got on her bus. So that's what I tell people, is that I speak every day for the voiceless. I speak for the 3-year-old who's being abused by his dad right now, that doesn't know how to verbalize and say that they need help. I speak for the 9-year-old that was abused by their uncle that did tell, like me, but still didn't get any help. You know, I speak for the 20-year-old girl who was so depressed, like many people, who committed suicide, that doesn't even have a voice anymore. I speak for the 40-year-old women who have been in and out of abusive relationships their whole life, all because of their childhood. And I speak for the 80-year-old women that write me and tell me that they have kept this secret their whole life and they're taking it to the grave. They don't even want to tell.
Yeah.
And I do that because you have to. That's how you get your freedom. That's how you get your power back that was taken from you so long ago.
Absolutely.
By sharing your story, by educating, by helping people. People message me and say, well, what good is sharing my story gonna do? Well, look what it's done for me. I have over 100,000 followers on all my social media. You know, yeah. I'm getting people to speak up. Every day on my Facebook and my Instagram, I share a different survivor's story. Every day people send me pictures of them holding a sign, showing their face and telling their story of abuse. And that's another subject that I always bring up, is growing up, I had a survivor's book that said the average child molester is a middle-aged white man who's college educated, has a family, and is religious. Besides being religious, that was my grandfather. So growing up, I believed that only white men molested. When I would go to the grocery store or to my daughter's school and I would see a white male with his daughter or son, I would look at their relationship and how they were physical with each other. And I would wonder, is he a child molester? I would look at Black people, my Black side, and think, they don't do this. We don't do this. I read in a book that the average is this. But through my movement and from you being able to see, it happens in every race, every religion, every culture. And it's so amazing to see that I get messages from every race, every age. And so I just appreciate what I went through. My dad said, I'm sorry that you went through that. And I said, I'm sorry too, but if I wouldn't have, I wouldn't be able to bring awareness. You know, I can't tell you about a gambling problem or gambling addictions because I don't have that. But I can tell you how to look for signs with your children. I can tell you how to talk with your children and educate them. I could tell you as a survivor that all that pain and guilt that you've been feeling, that shame, is not for you to carry, but it's for your abusers. So you need to tell somebody, you need to talk to somebody, you need to share your story. And that's what I'm doing every day. Unfortunately, some family members they haven't addressed their own issues. Yeah. My father was molested by a preacher when he was a child. He never told anybody. My older brother was molested by his babysitter. Never told anybody. My younger brother was molested by my grandfather. I was molested by my grandfather. My mother and her 2 sisters and their cousins were all molested by their grandfather. Wow. And they told. Yeah. And do you know what their parents told them? To keep it a secret. Mm-hmm. And their abuse continued. Yeah. So they did to me what was done to them. So unfortunately, not speaking bad about the older generations, but they come from a hush-hush era. They come from sweeping secrets under the rug. Yeah. Well, this generation and the new generation, we're not with that.
We're not going to stand for that. Yeah.
We're not standing for that. We're generational cycle breakers.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to allow to happen to my daughter what happened to me and my mom and her sisters and their aunts and their moms and their grandmas. It's stopping with me. So even though I'm sad it happened, I thank my grandfather I thank my mother and my family, even for the actions that they've did, because from that, I've created Tell Somebody.
Yeah.
My family did disown me for a little bit. The Dr. Phil show actually reached out to me and wanted to speak with me and my family, but my mother did not want to go on the show.
Yeah.
A couple years later, Iyanla, who's a life coach, she has a show called Fix My Life on the Oprah Winfrey Network.
All that. Yes, that was
out to me and my family.
Yeah.
And my mother and one of my aunts actually agreed to go on the show with me, which I'm so thankful for.
Yeah.
Because not only did they come on the show and allow us to address our issues, but they allowed us to bring awareness to millions, to help others, and they've apologized. They said they know what they did was wrong and they should have did something different. And so now we're rebuilding our relationship. We're working on healing. So other families can do that also. Not saying that all family members deserve that, but forgiveness is for you.
Yeah.
When me and my mother started our healing process, I had some people that wrote me and said, how dare you? How dare you forgive your mom?
Yeah.
Forgiveness is not for them. Forgiveness is not saying what you did was okay. Forgiveness is saying what you did was wrong, but I'm not going to let it destroy my life. I'm not going to let it keep me sad, down and out and depressed. You know, it happened. I forgive you. And now I'm going to use this story and I'm going to help save millions. And that's what I'm doing.
Which is what you're doing right now. Yeah.
That's what I'm doing. So
this is so crazy. For one, like I relate to almost everything in your story, with family members telling me not to tell anybody and saying like, why are you still talking about it? It happens to a lot of people. And my mom also said that it takes two. And so that these stories are what we've heard, like with ourselves growing up, being like, we're the only ones who've been through this. And it feels so lonely. Like, and especially when you like meet abuse, like for you, it was your grandfather, like, and you meet someone who's like actually had someone with your grandfather, you're like, I'm not alone in this.
Right.
But like, and what's amazing is you just answered like a million of my questions just through your whole story just now. But thank you so much for sharing that and openly sharing what the process was for you, even sharing your story and even how you shared it publicly. Like, that's not for everybody, right? Like, would you agree that like you don't have to share it publicly to find healing and freedom?
Right. What I want is I want survivors whose family members don't know to know. So if your uncle abused you, I need you to tell your mom and dad. If your dad abused you, I need you to tell your mom. You don't have to get on social media, but I did that because I wanted to bring awareness. And that's actually where I get part of my healing from. You get a freeing and a healing from telling your family and who doesn't know. But then from there, therapy and counseling, that helps tremendously. Yeah. But I get a lot of my therapy and counseling from my movement, from every morning waking up and seeing 3 new survivors in my inbox that are ready to share their story. I get a healing. Yeah. When someone sends me a picture of them with their child, their 3-year-old, their 4-year-old, holding my children's book, reading my children's book, I get a healing knowing that kids are being educated. So if you could share your story and save one child that's going through it right now, would you do that? I don't look at you different if you don't want to, but I'm telling you what I've gotten from it,
Exactly. Yeah. And like, to your point that like, yeah, it's like, would you help if you could share your story and help one person, would you do it? And most of us who've gone through abuse would say yes, because we are willing to like support and like serve everybody around us. But the question I have for you is like, so I know absolutely when you show up for others, you also heal. Like being an abuse coach, like I heal every time too. And so yes, it is. But the first part is actually healing yourself.
Right.
And so can you speak more into like how you worked on showing up for yourself powerfully before you helped others? Because I think sometimes we can help everyone else around us and forget to check on ourselves. And so how did you show up for yourself first?
I mean, yeah, definitely, because I hadn't even addressed the issue until I told my dad at 28, I started Tell Somebody like a day or two after I told my dad. Like, it was so fast. It wasn't months later. It was like literally in the same process. So I was actually going through my healing process while I was helping others. And so I actually, on my website, and if you go on YouTube and you type in Aleesha Barlow,
I'll post the links below, by the way, guys. So.
Okay. If you type in Aleesha Barlow, Iyanla Fix My Life, she actually did a couple exercises with me and told me that I had to work on my own healing because I'm actually making my supporters and other survivors a thief because I'm giving them something that I can't even give myself. Right after I started my movement, within a month, my dad passed away. And he actually hit a tree and died instantly. So it was so much going on that I never even really got to take time to step back and grieve. I used my dad's death as a fuel to even go harder and push myself harder. So I was movement. And I even got to a point where I put it before my family, my home life. I have to do this. I have to save people. I have to be on my movement every day. I have to be reading stories and see what I can post and see what I can do. And when I went on the Iyanla show, she did tell me, like, you don't have to stop what you're doing, but just take a step back and do some inner healing, do some reflection. She gave me a couple of books that I read. I spent a lot of time with my family. And I spent a lot of time even talking with my mother because healing our relationship was also a big part in just healing myself, you know? So I'm still working on it. I think it's just like when you're younger, you fall off your bike, right? And now you scratch your knee. Now you bust it open and now you have a scar. Well, next week you still want to ride your bike, but you remember what happened. You see the scar. So now you just go out with your helmet and maybe some knee pads, you know? So for survivors, the memories aren't gonna go away. You're gonna be 80 years old and still remember who touched you when you were younger. And you're still gonna feel disgusted about it and still be going through a lot of other emotions, but it's normal. It's natural. That's why I love sharing stories every day because you will see that the same feelings that you grew up feeling, she felt and he felt and she felt. And so it's still an ongoing process. I believe that you're going to keep healing every day of your life, but you have to make the effort. You have to make the step towards it. And like I said, when I get up in the morning, even bringing awareness. Today, I thought our interview was at 4:00 my time. You called me at 3:00 my time saying, are you ready? No, I'm not. So I have to hurry up. I have 15 minutes to do my hair and makeup and like that, you know, the computer wasn't working. My light wasn't working. I understand that with bringing awareness to abuse, me and yourself, others, we're shining light on bad. We're shining light on the devil. We're shining the light to a place where a lot of people don't want it to be shined. So I know every day that things are going to be coming towards me. I know that things are going to be going wrong every day. And I could have hyperventilated. I could have panicked like, oh no, 15 minutes to do my hair and makeup. Can we do this next week? You know, can we do? No, we're going to do this now because I want to bring awareness and nothing's going to stop me. If we have to start 15 minutes late, we'll start 15 minutes late, but we're still going to get it done. You know, so I wake up knowing that bad things are going to happen, you know, but you just got to stay uplifted and stay positive and just not let it get you down. I know it's easier said than done. That's why I try to do interviews because I want people to see my strength. Cover of my In Silence Abuse, Oprah Winfrey actually wrote the quote, and she said that I'm the perfect role model for turning pain into power. Well, what I tell survivors is we're all a role model for turning pain into power.
Absolutely.
Because we can all do it.
Yeah.
There's nothing stopping you from doing this.
Yeah, and I share this all the time too. It's like we are no different than anybody listening. Like sometimes you put people on pedestals, they're like, oh, the Aleeshas can do it, but I can't. But like you said, you shared your story once, on the video, and then the next day you had all these replies, and you started your company in like 2 or 3 days, right? And so like day by day, and it to encourage people listening, like you don't have to have it all figured out all right now. It's a healing journey, not a sprint, and like you go with it. And you don't have to. I think sometimes we get in our heads like they can do it, but healing's not for me. But it's for everybody.
It's for
so
everybody.
Speak into that, like someone who maybe is sitting on the couch right now, being like, "Oh, like that's for them, but I can't do those things." Like, can you speak into that?
I mean, that's what I really love about the Tell Somebody movement and reading these stories every day, because you get a comfort in knowing that you're not alone. I thought I was alone, but I'm not, you know? And people write me about that. When I was on the show, she told me to take a step back. For 8 months, I actually took a step back. I didn't do any events. I didn't speak. I didn't even post stories. And when I first stopped, I felt guilty. I felt like if I'm not posting and I'm not working, then I'm not doing anything and I'm not saving lives. But after a couple of weeks, it felt really good to center myself and to really step back and realize what was important. And that's the family that I have around me. That's who makes me whole. That's who makes me complete. That's who I live for every day. You know, parents are supposed to live for their children. That's who's supposed to give you that extra strength, you know, just to keep going. And so when I came back, I had all these people writing me saying, "Where are you? Where were you? You know, every day you post a story. Now you're not posting stories. So now, like, what am I supposed to do?" You know? So I didn't even realize how much of a healing other survivors got from being able to read other stories and seeing, oh, wow, yeah, I was molested by my uncle, and so was he, and so was she, and getting that comfort. So within sharing stories, a lot of people have tried to commit suicide. That's what I appreciate about the strength of the survivors who share their story, because not only do they share what happened to them, they share how it affected their life. So even though you've tried to commit suicide, well, a lot of other people have too. I personally haven't, but that's another thing that I love to bring awareness to, is that if you are out there and you have harmed yourself, if you are hurting yourself now, you need to stop. There's a reason why you're still here. It's because your purpose is not over yet. If I could tell you how many times I was supposed to die, from deers running in front of my car, to being at a party when someone had a gun, to getting into a car accident where my car's flipped over 3 times in a ditch. Like, I should have died so many times, but I'm still here. The reason why I'm still here, even though I prayed my whole life and asked God, what's my purpose? What's my purpose? I know now, while I'm in my purpose, why I survived all those times, why I'm still here, because my purpose is not done. So yes, for all the people that are depressed, that have tried to hurt themselves, you have a purpose here. Your purpose is not done. So you just have to fight through it and come over to Tell Somebody. Come be with supporters. A lot of people's parents and family, like I said, they haven't even addressed their own issues. They've been abused. They've been told to be quiet. They haven't healed. So people come on my page and get more support from strangers than from their own family. You come on my page, I post your story, 200-300 comments from strangers. I believe you. I see you. Your story matters. I love you. You know, I'm here for you. If you need someone to talk to, DM me.
And I have first experience with that. I posted my story and I've never seen so much support and love on those comments. I was blown away. And so to encourage you guys listening, like if you're listening to this, you're like, I want to tell somebody, I want to share my story. We're going to post a link below, but you get to go tell your story on her page and have people lift you up and support you. Because like you said too, it's not always family. And sometimes we're like, well, like if our family doesn't want us to tell, if our family doesn't understand, then how can anyone else?
Right.
But sometimes that's just not the case. You get to choose your family. You get to choose the people who are around you. And so like for you, like you had that too, right? Who was the people in your life And I know that it was your dad, and how amazing is that he even told you that he would want to know if you were being abused on his deathbed. And unfortunately, like, I'm sorry to hear that did happen a month later, but how amazing is it that he has a daughter like you showing up and telling somebody and like encouraging others to do that. But who else was there for you?
Who else was there for me? Well, growing up, like I said, I was told to keep it a secret, so I didn't tell anybody. When I was a teenager, it was the first time I talked about it to my cousin, but she was never molested, so she couldn't give me any type of advice or feedback. And so that's what I really appreciate about my movement, because doing statistics and doing research, 1 in 3 girls and 1 in 5 boys will get abused before age 18. And these are just children who report it. So in your family, you have sisters, you have aunts, you have cousins. Not only are there some perpetrators, but there's also victims and there's other survivors. So your best friend could be a survivor and you don't even know it because nobody's told anybody. And so before my dad passed away, I have a video of him, and he said to me, don't ever stop, because somebody has to do it. And those words really resonated with me, because somebody does have to do it, you know? So that's why I speak, because somebody has to do it. So if I got to be that person to come out here and be your voice, be your strength, I will do that for you, to save one child, to get one survivor to speak up. When I get messages from people, sometimes, you know, and that's another thing, like you said, we're all human. I'm a mother, okay? I have my household. I'm trying to run my household, run this. There's times that I want to give up. There's times that I question, am I doing things right? Have I did enough? There's times that I felt like I'm not doing enough. I'm like, what's going on? Like, I could be doing more. And then I'll get a message from someone who will say, you know, because of you, my daughter who was abused found comfort in seeing other people's stories. And at 35 years old, she just today what happened to her as a child. So I appreciate you. And when I see messages like that, those are just the encouraging words because it's working. And whether it's working one person at a time or 100 people at a time, I'll never know the magnitude, you know, because not everybody writes me and lets me know, but I know it's working. I know as the numbers go up and I see people that it's touching people. And so I just want this to just reach everywhere, because there's so many of us. And for the men out there, there's so many men that are sexually abused by a man. Okay. And because they're sexually abused by a man, they grow up struggling with their sexuality. I grew up struggling with my sexuality. My grandfather showed me porn magazines, but mainly girl with girls. So growing up, my mind is processing that that's okay. You know, a lot of men are sexually abused by men, and they grow up and don't understand their sexuality. And so they really don't want to talk about it because they don't want to be labeled as gay, you know? And I just want all men to just know, like, it's okay. You could talk about it too. Like I said, my dad was molested. My older brother was molested. My younger brother was molested. So if all the 3 males in my immediate family were molested, I know there's so many little boys out there, they get molested just as much as girls. And with my movement, I've shared way more stories of females, but I have shared at least 20 stories of men. So for them to even come out, I appreciate that, you know, because that gives strength to other men. So men, it's okay.
Yeah, you know what I love about your page is really, you have men and women, and you have people from like all around the world, it looks like, that are sharing their story.
Right.
And to encourage you, like, you don't know who's watching. I had the same thing. My best friend that I had told when I was like drunk one day, I told her my story, and then like when I said I wanted to share it publicly, she was like, Aleesha, it's happened to me too. And I never would have guessed, my very close friend. So to encourage you, you don't know who's watching you.
Right.
And so you get to share your story because it could be your best friend, it could be your child, it could be someone close to you. And then also, like, to your point, that because of when you're sharing light and when you're healing and you're finding freedom, there's also a dark side. And like you said, it's like the devil, or it's something in the universe that like doesn't want that to be shown. And I think that a lot of people aren't talking about that. But yes, like there are going to be days where it seems harder after telling your story, because it seems like there's more outside forces that are trying to get you to be quiet again and be small, because that's what the world wants right now, is women to be small and not to use their voices. But you get to stand up anyways. And so how do you like push past that feeling of like it can be hard after telling your story sometimes? So how do you push past that? Like, what are some tools that you've used?
I mean, like I said, survivors grow up feeling the shame, the guilt, and the disgustingness that their child molesters are supposed to feel. And what I tell people is that your abusers sleep fine at night. My grandfather slept fine at night. My mother slept fine at night. My aunt slept fine at night, okay? It's your turn to sleep fine at night. So that's how I keep going, is because I say I'm not going to be down and out and depressed. Y'all took my power from me for so long. You don't get that anymore. You know, you have to just pump yourself up. Like, you guys don't get that anymore.
Yeah.
So let's go. Bring it on. That's how every day is. Bring it on. What you got for me today? What we doing? You know?
Yes. Because you're stronger from your past. You're not broken from your past. Society sometimes is like, when they bring up people who've gone through abuse, they're like, oh, she's gone through abuse, and then it makes you feel like you're broken all over again. It makes you feel like you want to be small and that you can't do big things in life. But you're an example of doing big things in life.
Right.
You have this community of people showing up powerfully. And so like, it doesn't look, maybe it's not going to look like, you know, what Aleesha and I are doing, sharing it publicly, but you can do anything you want in life. And so like, really, like, what are the steps? Like, if they're wanting to share their story right now, like, yes, go tell somebody, go on her like page, follow her, absolutely. But what are the steps of like actually being able to show up powerfully in your life, like on a daily basis? Do you have like a morning routine or anything that supports you?
Me personally, like how I just get up every day and just move. I mean, I strongly believe in God now. Like I said, only because of the fact that I look at all the times in my life that I was supposed to be gone, and the fact that I'm still here, I know it's God. I went to school, but I didn't go to school to write books. I didn't take English courses. I don't have a bachelor's degree. So if you would have told me, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, hey, later on in life, you're going to have this organization. You're going to be saving people. You're going to be traveling the world speaking. I have 2 books now. Well, hey, 5 years from now, I'm going to have 3 more books. Maybe I might even have a movie one day. Maybe I'm going to get my TV show on TV. If you would have told me that, I would have never guessed. But just because I step foot after foot every day, you know what I'm saying? Just taking it slow, day by day, like this has already happened. This has already come. So that's all you can do, is go day by day. I get up in the morning. The first thing I do is I thank God for waking me up, because there's people that don't wake up. That's the first thing I do. I thank Him for waking me up. I thank Him for waking my family up. And then I just get started on my day. I eat, I exercise, I play with my kids, and then I get on the computer. I read a couple stories, I post, and, I find different ways that I can, promote my children's book. How can I get it into more, parents and children's hands? It's just, I don't know. You just got to keep pushing. Like, I don't really know how to, you just got to keep doing it. You just got to go, like, the time goes by. You can sit in your room and mope, but time still goes by, And I saw one day that this girl wrote that she is not insecure. She's confident when she goes out in the world, because she doesn't want to miss opportunities. And when she said that, I was like, wow. Because when you are, shy, and when you're not really ready to step out of your comfort zone, you could miss a lot of opportunities. And I feel like my opportunities that I was presented with, like I said, helped me in my healing process, helped me in my journey. So I get strength from my family. I get strength from other survivors. I get strength from people like you, knowing that after we end this Zoom meeting, there are going to be people that message you. There are going to be people that message me. There are going to be people that go talk to their family. There are going to be people that go buy the book and go talk to their children. Like, that's what keeps me going, to know that, you know, there's this rotation going, like there's just all these people connected, and, you know, we're here to get the job done. There's so much bad going on, right? Especially right now, there's so much chaos and so much stuff going on. Like, we need just positivity and to be able to help people, you know, that's just what keeps me going.
Yes, like it's a choice. Like, you're choosing to show up every day.
You have to choose.
Sometimes we don't feel like we have a choice. It's a choice, but it is like doing like little steps every single day. They don't have to be these huge, crazy steps.
Right,
Everything. It's like, no, you got up today.
Yeah.
You brushed your teeth. You made your bed. Like, awesome. Okay, like, give yourself grace and knowing that that is enough at this time, maybe. And you get to keep pushing and keep doing the stuff that, you know, like, keep moving forward. But really, like, so powerful, and it's different for everybody, right? Like, everyone's healing journey is different. And
right.
So, like, maybe
so
something
support. You need support. That's really what it is. After people share their story on my page, they always message me back and say, oh my gosh, I'm crying right now. I'm so overwhelmed by all the love. I'm crying, you know? So like I said, people, no matter what age, they're still healing. But to get support will help you. You know, it will help you get out of bed on those depressed days, to know that there's other people that understand you and feel you.
Yeah.
You know, so you just got to do it.
Yes.
Like, you just got to do it.
You get to do it. It's like, it's a choice, and you get to do it because you're, like, you mentioned this multiple times, like, you are the winner here.
Right.
Like, you don't get to let your abuser win.
Right.
And so you showing up powerfully every day, like, even being on this interview is what supports what I had so much healing when I got to hear other people's stories, when I went to, you know, different seminars, surrounding myself with powerful people. And that sounds like what you've done too, right? And so, like, surrounded yourself with people who are uplifting and not just gonna let you stay in bed all day.
Right. So that's what you have to do. When I first started speaking, my very first speaking event, I was so nervous. I was trembling, I was shaking, and I was crying. But as you tell your story more, you own it. You know, you own what happened to you, and it actually gives you more strength to keep talking about it. People say, oh, okay, I talked about it one time, that's enough, you know, but it's actually not. The more you talk about it, the more you can even, like, really look at what happened to you and really dissect what happened to you and really just, you know, just look at everything and attack it. And that's just what you got to do. You just got to get that strength, and you'll get that from keep telling and from getting the support and from, like I said, just taking your power back, you know? Don't be 80 years old still trying to take that secret to the grave. Because I used to, when people would write me and say, I want to tell, but I would say, okay. But now, don't write me and say, I want to tell, but, because you're writing Aleesha from the tell somebody movement. So no matter what you tell me after the word but, it doesn't matter. You have to tell. And the youngest story that I've shared was a 6-year-old. Of course, her mother was the one who saw my page, but she asked her daughter if her daughter wanted to share. And her daughter shared and showed her face. Her daughter was 6. So if a 6-year-old can tell her story, you can tell your story too. And I don't want to hear a but or nothing else about it. That my website is tell somebody today, not tell somebody tomorrow, not tell somebody 20 years from now. It's tell somebody today. So get on that phone today, go to your mom and dad's house today, whoever, and let them know what happened to you. Get that up off your chest so you can feel the freedom, so you can get this strength that you see exuding from me and you. Like, come get that. Come get some of that.
Yes, because like that's the first thing we want for you, right? It's telling somebody, and then the healing and freedom and all that amazing stuff comes. But you have to be willing to share your story first. You have to be willing to tell somebody today. Like, that's what's so amazing about your website. And again, guys, I'm going to share all of your links in here. And I want to thank you so much for being on my show today, because It is so encouraging hearing your story and how, what a fast turnaround it was. Because sometimes it's like, oh, that will happen for me in years from now. It doesn't have to be from years from now. It starts today.
Right.
What can you do today? So what would you like to leave our audience with like just last word of encouragement?
Just that all parents need to talk with their children, educate their children, let their children know about their body. Get my Tell Somebody children's book. In the book, I also explain different scenarios children can be in that they don't know is abuse. For example, if somebody asks you to sit on their lap when no one is around, tell them no and go tell somebody, because that's a lot of child molesters do that. So parents, just please talk with your children, because children wouldn't be able to be abused for 5, 10, 15, 20 years if parents were constantly talking with them. Also, a lot of survivors whose story I share say that their abuser threatened them, told them, you know, if you tell, I'll kill you, I'll kill your mom, you'll get taken away from your family. I encourage parents now that I see this to let your children know, not necessarily that you will kill their abusers, but let them know if anything happens to you, I will take care of it. You know, come tell mom, come tell dad, we'll make sure it stops. Because if they feel like you're going to kill someone and go to jail, they might not tell. So refrain from using those words. Other survivors, adult survivors, you got to tell somebody, you got to speak up. There's healing. You can come get support from survivors over here. Don't take it to the grave. Like I said, a 6-year-old girl told her story. You can do it too. You can help save others. You can help bring awareness. You can take your power back. And the last thing is child molesters. When I go out, when I speak, when I share my stories, you don't think about child molesters. Child molesters have social media. So child molesters see my stories just as much as other survivors do. So at the end of each story, the first sentence I put is, child molesters, please stop. I actually, every night before I go to sleep, pray, because I believe in God. And I ask God to give strength. Just like how I asked him to give me strength, I ask God to give strength to child molesters to not hurt children, because most child molesters were molested themselves. They don't know how to take their power back. So that's how they did it, was by abusing children. So child molesters even need to speak up and share their story so that they can get their power back and realize that they don't have to hurt children, that they don't have to put children through the same thing that we went through, because obviously it affected them in a way worse way for them to continue the abuse on other children. So I just ask that child molesters please stop, and just please stop. Yeah, stop.
That is amazing. And I think that sometimes we forget that everybody's online.
Right.
And that brought me back to remembering that yeah, there are people who are actually the molesters watching this video right now. And yes, you get to still pray for them and hold them high, and because that's where it stops, is with them. That's the only person usually who can stop, obviously, the abuse. Right. Thank you for bringing that up. That really touched me and reminded me of who's actually all watching. And yes, thank you so much. Everyone gets to go follow you and hear the stories. And I cannot wait to start seeing some of my audience share their story, because it's for everybody. And so thank you so much again for being on, and have a good rest of your night.
Thank you. And I look forward to anyone that wants to share their story. Come message me and we'll go from there.
Absolutely. You get to do it. Yes. So excited. Yes. Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.